Okay, we want to go back through the passages that we're working on, the messages. And we want to see how these principles of oral clarity show up unobtrusively, but making the unfolding of the message much more effective. Now, the most critical one is this one right here. More than anything else, this helps the oral listener track with your big hunk concepts, puts together the big strokes of the message, understands the preview, understands the transitions, the reviews. This is the one that just highlights all the structure and content for the listener. And so you just learn to say things several times using different language. When you set up the preview, okay, today we're going to see why churches sometimes differ. Are you raising your hand?
Yeah, I had a question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should our take-home truth, if we're using one, be literal repetition of the same words, or should it be the idea that we want to restate?
Often it's both. When you give it, you have a nice, short, succinct way. That's the optimum way that you want to phrase it. You immediately phrase it 2 or 3 more sentences in different words. Okay? Then later in the message, it probably will appear again. And probably at least the optimum, if not some of those will appear also. Maybe the last sentence is the optimum one. Okay. The optimum one kind of stands out, but often you will use the whole packaging of restatements to get it across. The further you go into the message, the more you don't need to restate it, because now we can, when we hear the optimum, the others come back to us. But early on, you want to do both. Okay. Immediately say the same thing in different words. Lots of illustrations of that. Now, same language. Your introduction is going to bring in phrases that the listener is going to lock on. Those phrases need to appear again as you move into the background, the context, the setting. Whatever situation is going on in the biblical world needs to have the same words in it that you use to describe the situation in our world. So you just want to get, the listener has to hear the correspondence, okay? If we fall into a ditch and can't get out, then the word ditch and can't get out needs to be somehow in the biblical setting, if that's the metaphor, okay? You just got to use the same language, okay? And these are other points. I won't take the time to do them now. Rhetorical questions as transitions. All Roman numerals, you start out by telling the concept. You don't lead into it. You may lead into it with a question, but you immediately answer the question. The only time you don't immediately answer the question is when the subpoints are a list. When every subpoint will sound like a partial answer to it, then you don't have to give the main answer, the answer at the start. But most of the time when you come to a new hunk, before you read the verse and before you go into the explanation of it, make sure we know what the concept is, because we are tracking the message with concepts. Okay? This one is kind of the same as this, but it has its own way of making sure that it gets done before you read the verses. Since often verses are read at the start of a Roman numeral, then this becomes repetitive. But often verses are read internally within an explanation, even though they're not part of a Roman numeral. So always tell the point of the verses. Give a synopsis, a mini summary. Give an overview of what it is. And then physically think through which way the unfolding of your concepts go. All right? Questions about these? These were the things that you read. As I said last week, the chapter on clarity and the chapter on introduction are just the most critical chapters to review to make sure as you're writing up the message. All right, let's see how some of these work then in the song. On page 11. Yes?
When you say physical movements to mark off movements, do you mean like physically what you do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like posture.
Your posture, often as you know, if you're going to say, today we're going to see what is the group project. We're going to see why it's important that we work on this group project. And we're going to see how we can make it happen. Okay? Now, each one of those would be restated, though. Today we're going to see what is the group project. What is this thing that we are supposed to do together, collectively? What is our task? Okay? What's the group project? Secondly, why is it important? What's necessary? Why should we care? What difference does it make? Why? Okay? And then third, how do we accomplish it? What do we need to do in order to successfully pull it off? See, I'm restating, but I'm also moving. And the listener's going 1, 2, 3. Okay? Now, if you're in a Korean church and you're locked into a podium where you can't get away from the two microphones.
Hey, what's going on?
Amen. I've been on that little box too. Not only are you locked into the two thing, you stepped into a little 2-foot square box. Oh yeah, isn't that? Don't they have a little platform they stand on before they get up there? Yeah.
Maybe.
Some do. Yeah. I mean, I've been on that little platform with a translator. Okay, I had 12 inches, and the translator had 12 inches, and is that right? Yeah. And I couldn't gesture with this hand. I would have knocked the translator off the. There was a little riser that was about that high to get us up. You know, I don't know why. Okay, but my point is, if you are locked, if you can't get mobile, you can still do the same thing. And instead of walking, you just turn. What is the group project? Yeah. Why is it? That's what I mean by. But I also mean by physical movement that whenever I talk about, you know, God has a wonderful future that he has for us. There's something that God has planned for us, okay? Christ saved us in order that there would be some, and you can see what I'm doing. I move from the past to the future, and that's movement. So it can take any one of a number of things, but the physicalness of it helps clarify, and you always want to keep the future where it belongs. Okay, all right, page 11. Page 11. Let's see, and I will put something very tiny up here because I've just kind of copied what you have on page 11. So when I kind of point to it, you'll see it. All right. First of all, let's notice how certain phrases or words are threading themselves all the way through here, okay? So that consistent key language enables the listener to pick up. Look, first of all, after me, okay? The devil is after me. It's in the song. Yes, the first part of that message is true. The devil is after me. The Bible says Satan is after us, okay? And then down here again, the devil is after me. I want us to see in the preview that the devil is indeed after us, okay? And then when we come to Roman numeral 1, after we turn to the passage, the first thing we see, the song says, yes, the devil is after me. So we've got that threading through, all right? Now, also he is throwing sticks. No, he is throwing more than sticks. Where is it? There it is. He is throwing more than sticks. I want us to see he's throwing more than sticks. And when I come to the preview, we're going to see what he's throwing. Okay, the weapon. It's going to be the arrows. Okay? He wants to destroy us. Okay? Okay, I want us to see that he's after us to, where is it? Destroy us. Okay? So there's a consistent phrasing and language that ties it together. Okay? Now notice the restatement. Here is the preview. Here are the hunks. Here's the overview. This is the map of how to listen to me. Notice that it's said more than once. I want us, the first one is deductive because I've already given that point. We brought that up with one of your outlines, that it needed to be deductive, okay? All right, I want us to see that what I've said is true. The devil is after us. Restate that there is an unseen, powerful force that wants to destroy us. Now, here comes the second one. I want us to see what he's throwing. Restate it. Say it again. Different words. What is the deadly, lethal weapon that doesn't have? Finally, I want us to see what defense we have, inductive. Restate how we can protect ourselves from him. So there's restatement. Okay? All right, now we're going to turn to the passage, and here's going to be the first point. I'm going to say this first point before we read the verse, give a mini synopsis. And when I state it, I will restate it. Okay? So the first thing we're going to see is the devil's after us. Restate. We have an enemy, this and this and this and this and this. And I'm going to restate all these. He intensely hates us. We'll use whatever schemes he has to destroy us, which is another way of saying what I said in there. So I have told you in advance what the verse is going to say. I've given a synopsis or a mini summary, and I have restated it so that, again, you have lots of chance to catch on to it. Okay?
So we restate, before we read a verse, we restate what it's going to be, and then before we go to one of the points, major points in our outline, that's what we restate to.
You restate a major point in your outline too. Actually, this turns out to be the same. This turns out to be it's not only the major point, it's also what the verse is going to be. Yeah, that's why I said that some of those, often these two are pretty much the same. That you present the main point deductively, you tell the point, which is another way of saying you give the point of the verses before you read them. And then you bring this in and you restate it too. All right? Now, okay. Now we move away from his hostility and we move into the fact that he has the power to do it. Okay? So, his ability to destroy you, there's the word destroy again, same word, destroy. Okay? His ability to destroy you is almost beyond comprehension. Restate. His ability to make that happen is unbelievable. Okay? Say it again. His power is absolutely incredible. Again, he can do just about anything he wants to. There are 4 statements of the new concept. It's restated several times to get into it. Now I've already said, now go to verse 12, where we will see this incredible power that I've talked about. Okay? Now this word incredible, I'm getting into the point. When I get out of the point onto the next page, and I will summarize all that I've said about power, I will again use this language up here. The same phrases that I used of a restatement to get you into the point. When I get through with it, I want to review or summarize it. You will hear some of this same language. The word incredible will show up. Incredible power. And that kind of bookends it for the listener. The language says to them, yeah, you wrapped up the concept of power. Okay? Now, power is going to be the operative focus. We've gone from hostility and struggle and destroy to power, and eventually we will get to schemes. So we're working on power. Here is power. Okay, Paul describes this power. Okay, now this worldwide power, he's coming after you. What is his power? What is the extent of his power? Here are rhetorical questions. They are transitioning into, in what ways does this power show up? And the rhetorical questions are restated. Okay? So again, any movement from one concept to the next, a lot of restatement, so that the listener has time to track it. Okay, and so we start talking about power. Okay, the word power will occur down here. The word power will work over here. He has power over the forces of nature. He has power over your body. He has physical power over your body. And now we're summarizing, and here it is. His power to destroy you, that's the first thing we looked at, destruction. His power is incredible. There's that word, incredible. Here I'm reviewing, he can do forces of nature, he can affect your body. Now here comes to a new one. He can play with your mind, restate, influence your thoughts, restate, cause others to turn against you. Restate, he can insinuate himself into people's thinking. Again, new concept. We've gone from power over nature and bodies to power over the mind. Here's the word incredible again, incredible power, and now crisp summaries of the 3 subpoints, nature, bodies, minds. He can pretty much do anything. Now we're going to move to another concept, intelligence, okay? And along with this power, penetrating intelligence. We are no match for his power. And here are several restatements of intelligence: cunning, shrewdness, calculating schemes. Okay? Now, notice, and I'm going to tell you the point before we read verse 11. Notice in verse 11 how Paul refers to his craftiness. Okay? And now you know I'll call attention to the word schemes. Okay? And once we have penetrating knowledge, the word knows. What does he know? He has his schemes because he knows what will work. And so the word knowing, knowledge, knows, he knows, he knows, he knows. And so the consistent words, okay? On page 14. As I move through examples, one scheme he will use, he will try to ruin you spiritually, is to get you to lie, restate. He will tempt you to shade the truth, okay? Now notice the key words, the temptation to lie, the temptation to lie. He may try to get you to lie so that the listener hears the same language as I move through this subset concept. All right, that's probably enough for Ephesians. Let me think. Yeah, that's enough. All right?
Maybe we'll talk about this next week, but I see the point of restating and doing this. So when you're memorizing all this, I mean, how long does it usually take to memorize what we're going to be sharing?
Okay.
Because I mean, if I'm reading this, or like, you know, I have it in front of me, I can really emphasize these points and restate them, but when I'm up there, everything
several comments. First, I want to kind of back away from the word memorize. Okay. I mean, I know you're probably, I like the word internalize. Okay. Which means then I'll settle for 70 to 80% of what's on the paper. Okay. It means I'm going to go over it often enough that it's going to get under my belt. I'm going to be familiar with it, fairly confident that I can reproduce most of what's there, as opposed to word for word, you know, getting it down, which is a task we can't do. Okay. My process is that I've typed it out and I've printed a copy. I know that first typed out printed copy is pretty eye-focused literary. It's written document to be read. Okay, as much as I tried to be contemporary as I was looking at the computer, the very fact that my eyes were looking at a screen meant it was coming out that way. Okay? So after that, I now have, let's say, a 15-minute message. Let's say you have 3 pages of single-spaced. Okay? So I'm going to start talking it out loud. My suggestion is you rehearse it in front of a mirror. Okay? The first time through, you're pretty much reading it. Okay? In fact, maybe the first time you're not even doing it in front of a mirror. You're hearing it out loud. When I hear it out loud, I suddenly realize I don't say that sentence that way. I don't say it. I may write it that way, but I don't say it that way. Okay? I'm using language that sounds like a commentary or whatever it may be. Okay? So how would I say this if I were talking to a 13-year-old in the church parking lot? Okay? Because that's going to be the contemporary way. And that means sometimes I shorten sentences. I don't even have complete sentences. I have partial sentences, fragments. See what I'm doing? I'm talking. And so I get all of it oral. Okay? None of the concepts are becoming different. But the way, in fact, most of the words are even staying the same. It's just that I'm breaking it, repeating a word. He planted a bomb that destroyed. See? Orally, we do that. Written, he planted a bomb that destroyed. See? But orally, I throw the word bomb in there again. He planted a bomb that destroyed 13 children. Children. All under the age of 5. Children. See? There's oral. That's how we do it orally. Written-wise, he planted a bomb that destroyed 13 children, all of whom were under the age of 5. Okay? When we write, we start with dependent clauses. After taking out the trash and discovering when he came back in the house that the bag had dripped all over the kitchen floor, he finally got a mop. See? That's how it would sound written. Now, orally, He took out the trash. He came back in and, oh man, the bag had dripped all over that. See, with that, so my first goal is to get it oral. All the words and all the concepts are still the same, but now the language is for the ear, okay? And once I get that, and then I go into the computer and make all the changes I did. All right. Then I spit out the copy again. Now I'm ready to actually start talking it out loud to get a sense of the timing of it and to get a sense of what I look like in terms of movement, so I'm not just standing there like that. Maybe now I go in front of the mirror. At least that might be what you would do. Now I'm going to get a sense of, am I within the time limit? Okay. I might make a few more changes. You know, I have a pen nearby because it came out even better than what I had down there as I was rehearsing it. So I write it down, and I'll go back and change that again. Eventually, I get a copy that's pretty much, this is the way it's going to be. I've probably gone through it now 3 times, okay? Now I'm probably going to take out a red pen, at least this is what I do, and I underline a key word at the start of a paragraph, somewhere in the first line of a paragraph. And now, when I start going down it as I'm reading it, I can see that word, and that whole paragraph comes back. Okay, I have gone through it enough times, and I might go over it a few more times, but I get to the point where eventually I just see the highlighted, underlined red words or whatever I want to do, and the whole message starts coming back. I'm pretty confident I'm not going to miss the flow of my progression. What I've been working for is what you brought up. First of all, I want the wording of the restatements. Okay, those are the ones. And there's some other effective, well-written lines that I want to come back. And I have to just settle for 70 to 80% of them. I'll get 100% of the flow. I mean, you have good, clear outlines. You're not going to forget your big hunk strokes.
So as we're practicing, that's going to help us restate what we're trying to do here even more and even better.
Yeah, I mean, the first few times you're going over it and you're actually saying it. What I might do is, let's see if I can find an example. Well, let's say page 1. Let's suppose I'm restating the preview. Okay. Here's my threefold preview. Okay, I want us to see that. I might have underlined the word devil after. Okay. Then I might have underlined the word unseen force destroy. Under the third preview, defense, the word protect. And that way when I'm reviewing, those kind of leap off the page and I'll say them. Something like that. All right. Okay, let's go to Joshua, the green one. Here's a narrative passage. All right. The key word, one of the key words that will tie this together is the word criminal or crimes. Okay? Lieutenant Colombo, he solved crimes, okay? The reason for the popularity of the show was he pinned down a criminal. Our passage today is like that. We see a crime, there it is, right there, being committed. We discover how the criminal is pinned down. But, next paragraph, the real force of the story is not on the criminal. Okay, I'm sort of saying, let me let go of that word and let me pick up another word. Okay, the real story is on the people who were affected. The disastrous effect his crime had on others, restate. The consequence others experienced. They could never undo that effect or be free of those consequences. So now new words have been introduced. Others, affected, consequences. Okay? The reason, next paragraph, this is important is we are the others. When a similar crime occurs, we feel the effects. We suffer the consequence. Same words as the previous paragraph. Okay? And it continues all the way through. Okay? The crime in our story, and now this is background, this is the context, the setting, but the same word that was used for the earlier engaging, the word crime, is the word that's going to be used here. The crime. All right? Now, in the background, down here, the crime, there it is again, paragraph before that. Before they start the fire, the soldiers go through the rubble looking for precious metals. Okay? Next paragraph. The crime occurs while one man is rummaging through the rubble. So he is a soldier doing what the soldiers were doing. Huh? Next page. The take-home truth is emerging. Like Columbo, our story opens with a crime. Before his crime is discovered, we see its effect, same key words. We see the consequences as the people suffer. And we learn that until in our day a similar situation is dealt with, we will never undo its effect on us or be free of the consequences. The wording in this paragraph is almost identical to one of the paragraphs on the previous page. So it was the constellation of restatements will get done again as you get to another section of the message. Okay? Now, they turn to the passage and notice the language that tells you what to look for in the first verse. The crime as somebody is rummaging through the rubble. Okay? List all those words the listener has already been prepared to see. And when they read the verse, there it is. They know what they're looking for. Okay? Now we're going to get into the message, and it will say that he acted unfaithfully in regard to the devoted things. Okay? Later in the message we'll learn what he took, but let's look at what this devoted things are. Okay? Now here I come to this key technical term. Notice how many times it's restated right here. I must have 4 or 5 restatements of what devoted things means. Okay? Now, I tell you in advance what I'm going to do as I expand on devoted things. It could be a person. It could be a person, an animal, or a piece of land. Okay? And I've got Leviticus on the screen. Okay? It could be a person, an animal, or a piece of land. It could be a person. It could be a person. It could be an animal. It could be a piece of land. Same words, same words. Okay? So the listener's connecting it as it unfolds. Okay, whatever it is something, and this language is identical to this language, and probably identical to what I have on the screen. Of that concept, this question, which is really the topic question, this is the inductive question. Is that what would make this a good prayer? Is it a good prayer? Would that be a good thing? Would that be inappropriate? Or would it be, and notice the restatement, selfish, self-centered, designed to stroke ego? And then the repetition of the very crisp phrase, is that a good thing to pray? Is that a good thing to pray? And notice at the end of each packaging, the same language, is that a good thing to pray for your business? God make me successful. Is that a good thing to pray for your studies? God make me successful. Is that a good thing to pray for your career? God make me successful. Okay? So the phrasing is repeated, and the listener is getting the idea of, yeah, is it ever going to be a good thing to do to pray for those kind of things? Okay? All right, on the next page, what'd you find? Patrick, what'd you come up with on the next page?
More repetition with the successful bless me words.
Okay. There's a review here with all the same language of the previous page.
And then I got some rhetorical questions. Is that an appropriate prayer or self-decline? Is that spiritually valid or?
Okay. And that language is exactly the same as on the previous page. Good. And it's, again, it's sort of summarizing the take-home question. This is the inductive take-home question. It's come full circle now. We introduced it with this. We went through the specifics. We review the specifics. And now we summarize it with the same language. All right, now what's happening here in this paragraph? What is this paragraph and what's happening in it? Pardon? That's the preview. Yeah, it's the preview, okay? So it's the one that's giving the overview. Here's how, these are the strokes or the hunks, okay? And the first one is going to be deductive. We're going to see that the people of God do pray that. The reason the first one is deductive, we've already introduced the concept of praying for this kind of a thing. So we're going to see it's okay to do it, all right? Notice the restatement. We're going to see the people of God praying that kind of a prayer. Make us successful. Restate. Bless us. Make us rich. Make us wealthy. Make us prosperous. Okay? Make our harvests huge, crops abundant, unbelievable. I mean, 6, 7 times. Make sure they get it, okay? Say it again. We're going to see this morning that, deductive, it's entirely appropriate to pray that way, okay? Second stroke, now moving inductive, okay? We've raised the question, is it good, appropriate? Answer yes, we're going to see that it is. And then we're going to see what makes it appropriate. This is now inductive. We're going to discover what is the motive we can have. Restate. What is the worthy, legitimate reason? Restate. What is the desire behind the prayer that would be so pleasing to God? Okay? Here now is a summary of both of these. Let's turn so that we will see them asking for blessing and discover the motive behind it. And again, same language, motive, wonderful motive, etc. Okay? Turn to Psalm 67. Give them time to find it. Okay? And we identify the chiastic structure, and we're going to see, now the language is the same, God's people praying for a blessing. All right? And so I tell them what to expect as we get ready to read the verses. I didn't ask you to go to the third page, but let's do that. Page 9. And watch the transition into the next Roman numeral. Here's the summary. We've looked at the top and bottom matching units of the chiasm. The prayer is a prayer for blessing. Okay, there's the worthy prayer. Okay, do it. Now, here's the transition. Rhetorical questions to transition to the new point, and a restating of the rhetorical question so that the listener has lots of time to lock onto it, and using the same key phrasing and wording that was used earlier in the message. Because now we are 10 minutes into the message since they last heard this. Okay, so here it comes. What would be the proper motive? Restate. What would be the worthy, legitimate reason? Okay. What is the that God would be delighted to answer it. Okay? Now, deductively, we're going to move into the new point. We will tell the point at the start of the point. Okay? The wonderful motive is given in the matching, and as soon as I put this on the screen, they see that so others will bless them. I will not be content for their eye just to see it, their ear will hear it, and here is Roman numeral 2 stated again and again and again. Restate, restate, restate. The reason is so that they will know what kind of a God. The motive is so that others will see how good He is, so that others will turn to Him. That's the motive. God bless me so that they will be drawn to you. Now, I'm ready for them to read the verses where they will see that that is the motive. And we go back and we read. Okay? Oral clarity. When we do it like this, it looks overbearing. It looks pedantic. It looks like you're treating them as idiots, that they, you know, you're patronizing them, overcompensating, okay? And all of that is because, first of all, you're reading it, so you don't even need to have it restated. You can see it the first time. Secondly, I'm doing nothing but flagging it and skipping over all the other content. So it sounds like this is nothing but a restatement. In reality, these restated spots occur 10 or 12 times in a message, and the listener doesn't even realize it. They think you are emphasizing, and they appreciate it because you're helping them catch on to the concept. They don't say to themselves, you just said the same thing 3 times. They say to themselves, you emphasized that, and that was really helpful. And I could see how it was connected to something you said earlier. That's what their mind is doing. And they are so grateful, so grateful. Okay? All right, let's look at our syllabus and see where we're going to be next week. Page 7 for October 29th. You will finish the reading in the textbook. That's the end of it. I will play a tape, quick as a wink and a snail's pace, about 25 minutes, and I will flag the kinds of things we've been talking about. So you'll actually hear it occurring orally. Okay? We'll do some stuff to focus on delivery, have a little bit of fun, and then we'll simply talk about how we proceed through the rest of the weeks. I'll open up that back room for you to go back in and look at it. We'll answer all your questions so that you'll be totally comfortable as you anticipate. I'll describe what the class will look like, how the room will be set up, the clock and everything, so that you'll be real thing. And then we will also talk next week about how some of you will provide feedback to certain speakers. All of you at some point in the flowing of the week will have a chance to make a few notes and provide some comments to the speakers, as I will be too. And I'll go over that. We have a sheet that will guide you into how to make good, helpful comments.
Who's speaking in the snail video?
I am.
Oh.
I am. So you be sure to like it.
I needed to know that, so I would formulate my responses.
I just don't know if you're going to come dressed for Halloween.
Is that Halloween night?
No. 2 days away.
2 days away? Well, the answer to your question is no. It's been interesting how Halloween is. You know, we used to, when our kids were small, we just took them around the neighborhood, and there's neighborhood kids all over the place, and all the houses had the lights on and everything. And Halloween now has turned into an adult holiday. More money is spent on Halloween by adults than in any holiday with the exception of Christmas. You'll see Halloween stores pop up in vacant stores. They're there for 6 weeks and then they're gone because the money is there for that. And it has turned into interesting. I mean, people will dress inappropriately for a Halloween party in clothes they would never wear anywhere else in their world. They would never wear them in the neighborhood. They would never wear them at the office or anywhere, but they will wear them inappropriately for Halloween. And the neighborhoods now have very few children, and most houses are dark because the children are too far and few between for adults to do it. Fortunately, many churches have moved to providing something on the church site, and so the children basically, the church lot is taking the place of where the neighborhood would. They come and they see all their friends there, and they participate in games and get things. It works out really well. All right, next week.
Biola University offers a variety of biblically centered degree programs, ranging from business to ministry to the arts and sciences. Visit biola.edu to find out how Biola could make a difference in your life.